With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
All right, well, hello and welcome everybody to round number 1 in Donnington for the ButtKicker Britcar Endurance E-Series. It's Kevin Urbany in the booth with Jack Cunnane. Jack, welcome to the booth today.
Well, thanks very much, Kevin. Really excited for this championship. Officially, of course, sanctioned by Britcar, so this is in association with them. They're helping us run this series as well. PPR, of course, we're running everything behind the scenes on this series as well. But delighted to be here for the first round, and this is going to be a really, really exciting championship. We are using Assetto Corsa for this one. This is allowing us, of course, to get a huge variety of cars. As you normally see in the real-life Britcar Championship, there's a huge variety of different cars in that championship. And Assetto Corsa allows us to have that as well. So we're looking forward to taking you through all the action. It's a 5-round championship this year. We're starting this one off at Donnington, and looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out. So many different cars on the track at the moment. The guys are in qualifying right now. 15 minutes of qualifying coming up for you, and as you can see, everybody's out on the circuit, as it is a completely mixed qualifying, so you've got to try and find some space in the traffic to try and get yourself a good lap on the board. So we're waiting for the first couple of times to come in, and we'll be able to run you through the different cars that are available that are on the circuit right now. There is Cody Pride. He's out on the circuit right now. He was the man who was fastest in practice just before here in the Porsche 911 GT3, which is a Class 1 car. There's two different classes in this championship. There's Class 1 and Class 2. Class 1, of course, is for the GT3s and the cars that are very similar in pace to that. And Class 2 is GT4s and touring cars. You can see the Seat Leon Cupra TCR car right there. That is in Class number 2. As well as that, there's two separate championships in this one as well. There's the Sim Championship and the Pro Championship. So the Pro Championship is, of course, for drivers that race in the real world, and the other one, Sim Championship, is, of course, for drivers who compete mostly in sim racing. Just to make it fair, to see the two different championships are right there. Now, first times coming in is David Hornsey at the top on the 28.058, but Cody Pride on a 27.6. He's gone immediately 4/10 faster, Kevin.
Yeah, that's a quick lap time there from Cody Pride. We saw him in the 27s in practice, but remember, we saw Hornsey and Whitehead getting closer and closer to one another, and they've kept that going, staying within 1/10 of one another at this current moment. Isaac Rain comes across the line, sitting in P4 out of Class number 1 there with the Class 2 cars coming through. It's Draper at the top of the timing charts right now with a 34.3, and that's actually a great time there, within 5 seconds of one of the GT3 cars.
Yeah, that's a great time for the Ginetta GT4 car right there, which is looking very nice. Just in front of Foster, who's also Class 2, but not too far off the back of that Isaac Rain car, which is not going too badly. I know we know Isaac can go quicker than that, so we'll wait to see when he gets a representative time as well. There's you can see the sectors. That's David Hornsey currently on a faster time. He's gone fastest. He's up on the time of Cody Pride at the moment by 6/100ths of a second. That is exactly the gap we saw in practice between the two of them, and he is at the wheel of that gorgeous Morgan GT2 car. I know there's been plenty of questions about what that car is. It's a Morgan. It's absolutely gorgeous in that livery as well. David Hornsey across the line 28.058, with Luke White at 27.8. So he's now just 2/10 off the back of Cody Pryor. But as you can see, in P4, Isaac Rain nearly up by 4/10 coming around the last corner in the Class 1 Morgan, about to come across the start-finish line to pop in his next time. It's a 27.9, so there's still just a little ways off Cody Pride, but just now a couple of tenths in it.
I'll tell you what, they're all right there, though, aren't they? In that top 3 and even top 4 when you include Hornsey in there. He's not far off the pace at all. We're going to see a great battle here in the next 8 minutes of qualifying. And remember, we still have the race to go with a mandatory pit stop. I'm looking forward to that one around a track that could be quite difficult to overtake. We could see some fenders banging here.
Certainly could, yeah, and it's a good thing that you mentioned the mandatory pit stop as well, because there is a mandatory tire change in this race as well, and the pit stop can only be taken between the 15-minute and 45-minute mark. It's a 1-hour race, so you can't just do one lap and come in and serve your pit stop. You got to wait 15 minutes at least before you can come into the pit stop, and then that is where that's where you can come in, make a mandatory tire change, and then come out. So strategy is going to be a very big part of this race. Alan Remus coming around the last corner now to come across the start-finish line as well, just trying to keep himself out of the way of the Class 1 cars behind as well. And you can see Cody Pride, a little bit out of shape there, just behind one of the Cupra TCRs. I reckon he's just caught that Cupra in the wrong place, and we're going to see plenty of that throughout today as well. So that's one of the Class 2 Seat Leons. That is Foster, who's just in front of him there, and I tell you what, he's lapping very, very quickly in that TCR. It's different to every other car on the grid. It's front-wheel drive touring car, but that does give it a good advantage in out the corners sometimes as well. It won't help it on corner entry, but it'll certainly help it with traction on the way out, because you can be a lot earlier on the throttle in the TCRs than you can in the rear wheel drive as well. So they do have a lot of speed through the corners, a bit more aero on them as well, as he's about to come through the last corner now. Just runs very wide out onto the grass a little bit there, and he may not be able to improve on his time. 35.357, so doesn't quite improve on his time, but still looking very good there is Foster. He just gets beaten out there by Lecky, actually, just as he came across the line by just a tenth of a second, and he's in the Porsche Cayman GT4 as another TCR, as Alex Day comes across the start-finish line, and he's beginning a lap right there, and then just behind him is one of the Ginetta GT4s, another one of them. Just up behind as well.
There's contact.
A little bit of contact there, but I'm not sure what was going on. But here is another one of the Class 2. Well, this is one of the Class 1s, David Hornsey, who's now P4. He's just a tenth off of Isaac Rain. So the two Morgans very, very closely matched. Isaac is in one, as is David as well. And David is of course, one of the representatives of Britcar who's racing in this series as well. So he's one of the ones who helped put this series together. So he's up there in the Morgan, and we'll see what he's able to do. So he's the fastest, he's the slowest of the Class 1s at the moment. As you can see, most of the grid made up with Class 2s, but that doesn't mean to say that it's going to be a boring race whatsoever, because the Class 1s, as you can see, just 4 tenths separate all of them.
And I'll tell you what, right there, Jack, David just went purple in Sector 1, so could this be the lap to keep an eye on for possibly a provisional pole position here?
Yeah, he certainly could. A good spot. He's slightly down in Sector 2, and but we'll see if he can pull it all together in the final sector here for David Hornsey in the Morgan GT2. Let's see what he's able to do. He's on a 28.0 at the moment. Purple Sector 1, so that was, of course, the fast-flowing section that drops down the hill. So we'll wait and see if he can improve on his time. Very patient on the way through the last corner. Comes across the finish line. What does David Hornsey say? He goes to second, 27.69, just 9/100ths off of Cody Pride. So he is getting pace out of that car as well. Cody Pride is fastest in practice by just 6/100ths at the time as well. And Cody not on an improvement by the looks of it at the moment, but he still holds provisional pole position with his first timed effort. So Cody really getting the best out of that Porsche 911 as he comes across the line right now, and he begins another lap around Donnington. So Cody's first lap, I tell you what, was really, really fast, as Luke Whitehead, 27.7. So it's in less than a tenth of a second between our top three immediately. So the two PPR cars, 1 and 3, at the moment in those Porsches. And I'm sure there'll be some questions as well about how are the cars balanced. Well, there is BOP in effect as well. Some cars have more ballast than others, just to make sure that the cars have a relatively equal performance. So some cars have no ballast, some of them have a good bit of ballast in them because they tend to be very, very nearly too fast compared to some others. So the guys have done their best to equal the cars out as much as they can, which is a very tough task in some of these. But we'll wait and see what happens with that. But they look very, very balanced. There's Hornsey, 27.537. So he goes to pole overall by just under a tenth of a second. 7/100ths in front of Cody Pride.
And Cody had the purple Sector 1 on this lap, but he lost out in Sector 2 by a tenth of a second. So it's about even between the two drivers right now. Sector 3's where it's really going to matter.
Around the last corner for Cody Pride. Gets on the power nicely. Very nice line through there now. In the Porsche, what can he do? A 27.604. He improves just ever so slightly, but it's not enough to knock David Hornsey off a pole. There's only 2 and a bit minutes left in this qualifying session, so coming up to the last runs in this one as well. Isaac Rain coming down towards the last corner. I think he's about to set himself up for a time now as well, taking that very wide line of line down towards the first corner now. So this is his timed effort coming up now for Isaac Rain in the other Morgan GT2, which is part of the Class 1. Spits flames as it comes down into the braking zone for turn 1 and then down through the S's. This is a very hard sector to get right. This is the worst place on the track to catch traffic. There is nowhere to go. Down into the old hairpin now, braking, turning it in, running it all the way out to the Astro Tire on the left as well, and coming past the old bridge just on the left-hand side of your picture there, up the hill again, and turning it into the next right before you get to this very, very tricky uphill braking section. You gotta make sure to get this corner right. It's very, very hard, as you can barely see it as he now drops down over around the right-hander through Kurbssy and down towards the S's. This is a very hard braking zone here. This is where the GP circuit begins. To head left, braking it into the left, back to the right again, and then into this very, very slow, the slowest corner on the track, and that is a purple middle from Isaac Rain. So he's on a great lap here, is Isaac Rain. Let's see if he can hook it all together. It's going to be very, very tight for pole here in Class 1 as they come now dropping down into the last corner. Isaac Rain trying to nip himself pole position here in the first round. Round to the last corner in the Morgan, gets on the power, heads for the line. What is it from Isaac Rain? Is it enough? It's not enough to displace anybody. He improves on a 27.869, but he does not displace anybody in front of him. And now Cody Pride, now this is the lap he needs. David Hornsey is not going for another run. He's back in pit lane. So Cody Pride needs this lap to be hooked up to the max. How is his lap going at the moment? Down in the first sector just a little bit. Luke Whitehead on the personal best.
For sector of a drift there. How about that?
Pride, and round goes Cody Pride. So that just shows you he was pushing, and that will not be pole. Whitehead stopped on the circuit as well. So David Hornsey will definitely have pole in Class 1. And, well, I don't think it's going to even be close, really, in Class 2. Draper with nearly over a second advantage over Lecky. He's in the Ginetta GT4, and a rapid time set from him on the offset. He's going to peel into pit lane. He's not going to finish that time because he is very happy. Lecky, he's out on the circuit now in the Porsche Cayman GT4. Bit of traffic coming up in front of him as well in the 4 Nettas. But Alistair Lecky, he's down in his first sector compared to the others. But we'll wait and see if he's going to be able to improve. But that is an uber close qualifying in Class 1. It's Hornsey on pole by 700ths in front of Cody Pride, and Alistair Lecky has to take to the gravel on the exit onto Starkey Straight. So he's pulled into the gravel, and there is Spano, who is now heading down into he's on a slow lap by the looks of it, taking it very easy through the S's. But how about that qualifying? David Hornsey in the Morgan by 700ths in front of Cody Pride, in front of Luke Whitehead and Isaac Rain. But that just shows you, Kevin, Cody was giving it everything in that middle sector and just pushed it a little bit too much.
Yeah, he was pushing hard there, lost the rear, and lost pole position for it as well. David Hornsey on pole there with, as you mentioned, a phenomenal lap. But with how close it is, this thing's far from over here. It's not a typical pole position that they're going to run away with it. I would expect some close, hard racing for most of this race.
Yes, of course. And of course, we won't be having a run by the sounds of it. I don't think we're able to facilitate it. So it'll be a standing start, which is a little bit unusual within Britcar, but it'll be interesting to see how it gets on. There's Ola Peterson in the gorgeous Maserati GT4 car. That thing sounds incredible as well.
Yeah, that's something that I mentioned earlier on. As soon as I load it up and listen to these cars roaring around the track, they just sound beautiful, don't they?
Yeah, and the Maserati is one of the best sounding ones. The Maserati GT4 car, which is it's a big car and it has a big engine, big V8 in the front of it, and it certainly has a lot of power behind it as well. So looking forward to see how that car actually gets on when we get to the race, which is coming up in just a few seconds' time. Of course, that's Maserati being driven by Ola Peterson, who is an English teacher by trade. He lives in Spain, originally from Denmark, but teaches English over in Spain. So looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He's a sim racer most of the time, but interesting story there. A Danish national living in Spain, teaching English.
Yeah, it is interesting. What else is interesting is I was taking a look at the top speeds. David Hornsey actually had the lowest top speed of the Class 1 cars, which tells me that maybe running a different setup there is benefiting him on this circuit.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know as well, because he had most of the purple sector number ones, which would tend to be the more high speed ones, but I think it was kind of sector 3 where he seemed to be losing out a little bit. So maybe running a little bit more downforce in that Morgan just to get it, especially through sector 2. That's where you really want the car to be planted to the road. So interesting, very, very interesting there for David Hornsby. He hooked it all together in the end to bring it to the finish. Of course, Isaac Rain had the fastest middle sector of anybody by the looks of it. But I mean, that is an incredibly, incredibly close qualifying. Looking at the timing sheet here, 1.5 tenths separates the top 4 in Class 1. So that's incredible. So it shows you the guys who worked hard to get the balance of power have got it absolutely spot on. There you can see 3 tenths through the top 4. And you can see then a big gap down to Draper. Of course, he's in a GT4 car. He took a commanding pole position there, did Draper, in front of Alistair Leckie. But some of the Class 2s not quite hooking it up. You can see Foster and Alex Day in Class 2. Well, actually, sorry, I've totally messed it up. But Foster and Day in Class 2 right there. Peterson, then Dunn, Spano, King, Ash Dainty, and Alan Remus. That's the 14 car grid for this one, but incredibly close to top four. And then Draper with a fantastic effort to get that pole position by well over a second. And yeah, absolutely great job as well. They're using the of course the Ginetta GT4 mod, so plenty of these cars are mods for Assetto Corsa, and that particular Ginetta GT4 mod was developed by the late Sean Clark. So nice to see the guys running that in this one as well. Sean Clark put it all together in the end. So well, before we get to the race, we're going to take a short break, myself and Kevin, because it's 50 minutes. We're already tired.
We are already tired. We'll be right back after this break for the start of round 1 at Donnington.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
into the chicane they go. Little look from Isaac Rain into the braking zone as well, but this is allowing Cody Pride to get away a little bit. Whitehead's absolutely all over the rear of David Hornsey in that Morgan. Now you can see he has to go defensive into the hairpin now. Whitehead to the outside line into the hairpin, looking for the outside. Hornsey going to shut the door on the exit and no way through. Cody Pride well over a second clear now as they come into the last corner, and again defensive from Hornsey into the final corner again, and Luke Whitehead is giving him a really hard time here as they come across the start-finish line. One lap is done, an hour of racing, of course, ahead of us. Mandatory pit stop as well, so still plenty to come. But Cody Pride leads, David Hornsey, Whitehead, and Isaac Rain. That's Class 1. The Tony Draper at the front of Class 2, with the two Cooper TCRs are right behind him in the form of Foster and Alex Day. Ola Peterson in the Maserati, then in P8. Then it's Dunn, King, Lecky, Remus, Dainty. Well, Lecky's actually I think he's had a problem further down. He's dropped right to the back, and he's had to come into the pit lane. Might have started from the pit lane actually there in the Porsche, but superb start from Cody Pride up the inside through turn 1 and gets in front of David Hornsey, who was under severe pressure from Luke Whitehead, and he held it off so well. And Tony Draper at the lead of Class 2, already well over 2 seconds in front now.
Yeah, he's moved up the order there. I did see Lecky into the pits. It's important to note that I believe the pit window will open 15 minutes into this race, so with 45 minutes to go. So that will not count as a mandatory pit stop completed here for that driver, if that was a pit stop that we did see. But at the start of this race, we have a battle going on at the back of the Class 2 action right now. We see Lecky, Remius, Spano, and Dainty all very close to one another as we cycle through the camera action.
Absolutely, yeah, a little bit of side-by-side as they come down into the breaks. This is one of the Porsches making their way through further back, and they do make the move stick. Yeah, there it is. That's a little bit of a cut across the road from Lecky there as he gets across the curb right there, and it was Alan Remus who made it past Alistair Lecky as it's just a small mistake. Now a little bit of a bump in the rear, that's going to end in tears there. He brakes just to avoid the extra incident there as they come up through there. That was Alan Remus getting a little bit of a helping hand through there as they come around the final corner now to begin their next lap. Porsche Cayman with Alistair Lecky at the wheel right behind him, and just trying to make his way safely through. He's got the inside now for turn 1 in the Porsche, gets his way through, and eventually gets his way past that Ginetta GT4 car, and Alistair Lecky moves up to P12 overall, and there is Ola Peterson with that lovely Maserati, but you can see right behind him as he gets on the grass, and that Maserati takes to some grass cutting, and that allows Dunn in the Chevy Camaro GT4 to make his way through past Ola Peterson. So Ola drops down to where he started, which is P9 overall, but that promotes the number 3 Chevrolet Camaro. A bit of a drift to the corner again from the Chevrolet, and it sits very high compared to the other cars there in that car as well. It's a beautiful car, that Chevy Camaro, which is being driven by Denny Dunn at the wheel of that car from the US. So as they come across the line, Cody Pride still in the lead. David Hornsey not letting him go, though. So the gaps come down just slightly now, and Luke Whitehead still right behind David Hornsey as they come across through turn 1, and Isaac Rain P4. So the top 4 still together. They've dropped Class 2 behind very quickly. That's exactly what we expect, but expect now this is going to be fun when they start to catch up to lap traffic.
Yeah, this is good battling going on right now between Hornsey and Whitehead. We can see Whitehead really pushing Hornsey along, but Cody Pride, the youngster up front there, I've watched him race for the past year or so, and he is a very quick driver, albeit with some mistakes along the way. So I don't think this race is over just yet with how close these drivers still are just 5 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely sparking away there, the Porsche, as it comes to Cody Pride from Leicester. And he's at the front of the field in front of David Hornsey, Luke Whitehead, and Isaac Rain. So 2 Porsches and 2 Morgans right here as some more cars make their way through. But Hornsey still trying. Oh, he's got made a little layer out of the lane there. Here, head on the outside. the braking zone, still under massive pressure here. David Horsey going to open the steering just a little bit. It just runs Luke Whitehead a little bit out of the road, but nice defense put up by Hornsey there. Again, goes defensive into the last corner, gets it on the brakes, trying to hug that karting line and avoid letting that Porsche through. Gap up front goes out to 1.8 seconds. It was a tiny error, but that was enough to drag Luke Whitehead right back into the fray. Isaac Rain dropping away a little bit on that lap. Round turn 1 they come, and Hornsey still holding off Luke Whitehead in that Porsche 911 GT3, and down through the S's they come, through the craters, and we'll see what happened. But Hornsey again holds off another attack from Luke Whitehead and manages to stay in front of that Porsche for just a little bit longer. So a little cloud of the curb again from Hornsey. He's really pushing this car, so maybe the car's not handling too nicely on that full fuel load.
I was looking here, Foster just went purple in all sectors in this. Is this the say out there? A beautiful lap from him, but he's 5 seconds off of Draper already, just 4.5 laps in here, and I think that shows Draper's immense pace that he has in that Class 2 car.
Yeah, he's really, really quick in that Ginetta GT4, the number 23 car of Tony Draper, who's really putting on a show here in that Ginetta GT4 car, and he's got a nice 5-second lead up front. Is there? Look, Luke Whitehead has got the job done on Hornsey. P2 for Cody Pride, and he goes around the outside into the last corner. So Hornsey made the error again, and through goes Luke Whitehead. PPR 1 and 2 here in the ButtKicker Britcar Endurance E Series, and the two Morgans follow suit. So Whitehead's been lining that up since lap 1, and after 8 minutes, he's finally made his way through, and Hornsey gets on the grass on the exit right there. But a lovely overtake from Luke Whitehead on the outside of the last corner, lined it up through the old hairpin, so obviously gave himself the inside in that corner, and then decided to outbrake Hornsey into the last corner. So now Hornsey has an opportunity to try and follow Luke Whitehead, but Cody Pride now has 2.7 seconds over his teammate. So he's got a really nice, and he'll be relieved to see his teammate behind him now. But I tell you what, David Hornsey's not going to let this one go too easily.
No, not just yet, but there's still some battling going on in the Class 2 between King and I believe Lecky there, as Lecky just had a 36.1 posted. That's nearly 3 seconds quicker than King. So King falling off the pace just a bit there, 38.8 down the road for Dainty as he comes across the line. And now we see the gaps start to open up a little bit. But then when we have the Class 1 cars come back through, Cody Pride, Luke Whitehead, David Hornsey, and Isaac Rain, when they catch up to the back of Class 2 here, we might see a lot of dangerous overtaking going on.
Yeah, you have to be very selective with making your overtakes here. You can see we obviously just saw the shot of Class 2 cars coming across the start-finish line, and now the Class 1 crossing the start-finish line. So it shows you they are closing into them, and they're not far away. So they will catch up to Peter Spano quite quickly in just maybe a lap or maybe 2 laps time. There's Spano, he's just come out of the old hairpin, so they are not far off the back of the Class 2s yet. So they will be catching them within the next lap or so, as we've just reached now 10 minutes gone. So that means pit window opens in 5 minutes. Oh, we got a car off. That is the car of King, one of the Ginettas, who's just ended up off the road there. So unfortunately, that's just coming on to Starkey's, and he's just lost it on the exit up at the top of the hill. Very, very easy to do. And Alan Remus just behind him now as well. So that's going to obviously knock his confidence a little bit. Now those 3 Ginettas are all together, and you can see in the background, just coming down Starkey Straight, you can see the Morgan coming across there, but we're seeing that there they are, as you can see Cody Pride coming down into the last sector. There's the Class 2s. They have caught the Class 2s now.
Yeah, all it took was 1 lap, and now this next lap's mighty important for the PPR team up front of Pride and Whitehead here. Can they get through cleanly, or are they going to be battling with those GT4 cars that might not get out of the way so easily?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the rules stipulate that if they are on the same lap, they need to battle, but blue flags take precedence with the lead car. So they'll obviously try to make it as easy as they can, but they are involved in the battle as well. We're going to car around in front of them right there. That was one of the Ginettas on the grass, so that's Alan Remus as well as King. I think there was, it's like maybe there as they come down. So they've now got the inside. That will help out the Class 1s as they make their way through. There was contact through turn 1. As you can see now, Remus very struggling to get the car back on the circuit there. And he's stopped in the grass in the exit of turn 1. So not ideal, but now you can see Cody Pride has cleared Peter Spano right there. That's exactly what he needs to do. So now Luke Whitehead's got to try and follow through, and he should catch him in a decent place here, just coming onto the Starkeys, but he will get held up just a tiny bit coming onto that part of the circuit, and he'll make his way through just a second time. So that has worked out quite well, actually, for the PPR cars. Cody Pride is clear, Whitehead is clear, and now Hornsy's maybe going to catch him on the run down to the hairpin here, so they're not making it too hard for them, which is always good to see. So now here comes Hornsey round the outside, moves out of the way, Peter Spanos, and makes it easy for him. And now Hornsey is clear of the first Class 2 cars, but that little spin from those two cars actually helped out the PPR guys at the front because they managed to clear them quite quickly.
They did clear them quickly. It's important to note, though, these drivers do not have to move out of the way compared to other racing events that you would normally see in, is it Formula 1? But here we have some battling going on. Is that Leckie and Pedersen right side by side with one another going down the hill? As we switch over a different camera there, it's the Maserati leading the Porsche here, going side by side once again into the next corner here. Brilliant racing from these two drivers, keeping it clean for now as it's going to be around the outside for the Porsche there. And trying to get through is Leckie on Peterson. It looks like he has the job done, at least for the time being.
Yeah, great job from Alistair Leckie around the outside on the brakes there, past the Maserati. I was admiring how small the Porsche Cayman looks compared to that massive Maserati alongside it. Well, the Porsche came out on tops in the end, so that's Alistair Leckie up to P9 overall in this one, so good job from him, and he can continue on his chase of Denny Dunn, who's just in front of him in the Chevy Camaro. So now you can see, look at this now. This has got some lap traffic for the front runners. That's one of the Class 2s, one of the Chevrolets that they just made their way through. So Whitehead's cleared him. It's Ash Dainty. They're making their way through. So Hornsey he's gonna have to chuck it up the inside of the hairpin here. So Dainty's gonna see him coming, leaves him loads of room, and that's Hornsey now clear. But I'm interested to note here, Luke Whitehead has brought the gap down to Cody Pride by a second. It's down to 1.7 to the lead now. So Whitehead is on a bit of a charge here in that second PPR Porsche, and Hornsey now 4.5 off the back. Look at that, you can see 0.8 of a second gained by Luke Whitehead on that lap. So obviously Cody Pride catching the traffic in a bad spot.
And how about Isaac Rain catching as well? He's purple in Sector 2 there at 28.5. Was a pretty quick lap time there. It was not as quick as Luke Whitehead, but still he seems to be catching David Hornsey, or at least not letting him get away just yet, though there is that gap that's opened up there between P2 and P3, so it's almost like we have two different battles going on right now. One for the lead of the race and one for the final podium position.
Yeah, which is great to see. So Luke Whitehead is chasing after his teammate, and we have heard there is no orders at PPR, so they're well within their rights to race each other. As we're looking at Alex Day now in that second Cooper TCR, which is just running in a P7. As you can see right now, you can have a look and see the tires that the cars are on. Some going for mediums, some for softs in the front runners, so it just depends on that. Draper's gone for a set of hards, so that's Ola Peterson, who's gone round on the exit of the chicane by the looks of it, and he's managed to loop that Maserati around, but that's going to allow the Class 1s to make their way through. Isaac Rain just going to go around the outside. Not ideal for him, but he gets it done. And Peterson getting his way back, getting himself underway again in the Maserati. So no harm done. Doesn't look like he's picked up any damage. That's the main thing. And we'll wait to see what happens now as the timer ticks down. Pit window is now going to be open from now. So 15 minutes, as you can see, pit window is open for 30 minutes. So now the pit strategy comes into effect from this moment. The drivers have got to make a mandatory tyre change in the race. They don't have to take fuel if they don't need it. Some of the cars won't need fuel, some of them may need a splash, but they have to make a mandatory tyre stop. As you can see now, a lot of traffic now for the PPR cars. Cody Pride making his way past Alistair Leckie, Luke Whitehead just behind him as well. So this is exactly what we were talking about. You've got to catch the traffic in the right spot. Whitehead not quite catching Leckie exactly where he wanted him. He's got now this straight to go, and he's not gonna, I don't think he's gonna quite get that Chevy in front of him, Kevin. He's gonna catch him right in the middle of the chicane, which is not ideal.
Well, this is what I've been watching this whole time. We have two different battles going on right now. It's the battle for the leaders to get through these lap traffic cars, and it's also a battle between Dunn and Leckie for position 8 on track right now. The Camaro in P8 with Leckie in P9 there in the Porsche, and there's more traffic coming through. Remember, with the blue flag rules not in play here, it's these guys leaving everything out on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting some more info as it comes as well. Let's see, compared with the Porsches, they're on medium tires, and Hornsey and Raiden on the soft, so those to degrade, but they will be very, very fast later on when they swap onto a new set of them. So you can see now Hornsey trying to make his way through past the both of these. So Alistair Leckie has now caught up to Denny Dunn in that Chevy Camaro GT4, and you can see he's right with him now. So Alistair Leckie's done a great job there to close up the gap. Remember, he passed Aldo Peterson not too long ago, and now he's right on the tail of the man from Tennessee in the Chevrolet Camaro GT4, down through the old hairpin, dropping through, and now you see that Porsche getting a great run. But now Isaac Rain's going to try and make his way through while these battles. He's got the outside, and he should be able to do this here as they come now to the brake zone. Look at that, Alistair Leckie looking up the inside maybe as the gap forms, and he forces
wide.
Dunn to make a mistake. He made a mistake. Denny Dunn makes an error, and now Alistair Leckie's up alongside him into the braking zone for the next right-hander, and he makes his way through. So he made the error, forced the error, and Alistair Leckie is now up to P8 overall. So that's a great job from him in that Porsche Cayman, and he makes another spot up on track. So fantastic overtake from Alistair Leckie there.
Yeah, brilliant battling going on here. There's only 2 drivers left in Class 2 that have not been lapped just yet. It's Foster and Draper. Draper just absolutely running away with this one. It appears that he's about 10 seconds up the road from Foster there. Mind you, he's on hard tires here as well, so Draper absolutely flying in this Ginetta.
Yeah, he's got clean air front and back, so he doesn't have anything to worry about in this early phase of the race. So he's got clean air to just look after the tires a little bit. We just need to look after the tires. He's going to have to change them, but he has enough time or enough space to just work his way through and not make any mistakes. And well, Foster's about 13 seconds behind him, so that just shows you how strong Tony Draper is in that particular cars. Now you can see the PPR car is about to come up to lap Foster, so he's going to be the second to last car to go a lap down, and here comes Cody Pride, going to catch him in a perfect place just down Starkey Straight, and he'll make his way through, no problems at all for Cody Pride. And he's now just got one more car to get through, so only one more car is left on the lead lap in Class 2, and that is Tony Draper. He's the only one remaining. So he's got to now try to figure that out as Denny Dunn starts to get dropped by Alistair Leckie in the Porsche Cayman. So still a ways to go. So now he's got another target now as Alistair Leckie. He's got Alex Day to try and close down in front of him, and that he may have a little bit of hard work to do that, but he's got still got 40 minutes to close that gap down if he possibly can. Denny Dunn doing his best to stay with that Porsche in that very, very big Chevrolet Camaro. That Porsche Cayman is so tiny compared to some of these cars, and well, still got plenty of power in the back of it as they come around the last corner. Now you can see up the front of Class 1, Cody Pride now opened the gap to 2.4 over Luke Whitehead, and Hornsey definitely off the back now, 6 seconds off the back of the lead, and he's got some traffic to deal with as well just behind. So now still nobody coming into the pit lane just yet, no sign of it, but it could be still a while. 25 minutes before the pit window closes, and if you go past that, then, well, if you haven't made a pit stop, you'll be disqualified. So they do have to make a pit stop. They don't have to take fuel, but they do have to take a set of tyres, which is very, very important. And now you can actually see, tell you what, Tony Draper, he's actually coming up to lap one of his own class.
Just absolutely incredible pace there from Draper. And you know what else? I've been sitting here watching the timing charts a bit, Jack, and remember I mentioned in qualifying there, the top speed of Hornsey, who qualified on pole position there, was the lowest of the 4 drivers in that Class 1. Well, guess what? Cody Pride, his top speed is actually the slowest now. So between Pride and Hornsey, there might have been a little bit of a setup change there, or at least a different type of attack on the track. And I think Pride may have seen what Hornsey did and liked it, took over, and now he sees himself in the lead of the race by nearly 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, so maybe some setup tweaks there by Cody Pride, and he's the 2 Porsches are currently the only ones still lapping in the 29s. Oh, that's an awkward place for Cody Pride to catch a traffic there on the exit of the old hairpin, but he does make his way through. Thankfully, no harm done, but that brings the gap back to Whitehead down to 1.9. So that just shows you that the traffic, a big slide from Cody Pride as well on the exit there. So he is still pushing this car, but that was not ideal. That's the same corner he spun at in qualifying. Again, a loose moment from Cody Pride right there. So now maybe the tyre is starting to go off, and all of a sudden the Porsche is starting to just slide around a bit more on the track right there. And Luke Whitehead closing in a little bit, as well as Cody is now catching up to the final Class 2 car. There he is. That is Tony Draper now finally going a lap down after nearly 20 minutes. So a great job by Tony Draper, and Cody Pride makes his way through, and he gets well out of the way for Luke Whitehead as well. He doesn't even have to race. Got so much of a gap. He lets them straight through, no problems. And now Hornsey's got to try and get his way through. Struggling a little bit now is David Hornsey on those softs, and still no problems for Tony Draper or for Foster. And there goes Hornsey getting his way through past the slow car of the Ginetta GT4. I think that's King, just get that they're making their way through. Greg King on the way towards turn 1. Hornsey getting sideways. Tire wear definitely becoming a problem.
Yeah, so as I sit here and watch this, Jack, I'm looking. When you mentioned the tires, you said Pride's might be falling off a bit, which could definitely be the case here. Just imagine how Hornsey and Rain must be feeling. They started on the softs, 15 laps in. Pride and Whitehead 15 laps in. On the mediums, you would expect them to get quite a few more laps out of those tires as well. So imagine how Hornsey and Rain are feeling right now on their tires that should start to be falling off now.
Yeah, you can see you see the laps they've done on the right-hand side of the overlay. 15 laps completed so far, and now Hornsey's going to put a lap on Tony Draper as he comes down to the chicane, and Draper sees him coming and lets him straight through. So nicely done there. Still nobody into pit lane just yet for those tires, so it's going to be a first of who blinks first. And you've got to think that maybe one of the Morgans might try something, just to maybe try an undercut or something. It just depends on where you come out in the traffic. You don't want to come out after a pit stop in the middle of a lot of Class 2 traffic if you're a Class 1 car. So they've got to think about that. And Hornsey now on those softs, you can see very wide into the last corner, so kind of struggling to just keep the car from understeering straight off the road. So still a ways to go, and it's 36 minutes left in this race and 21 minutes until the pit lane closes, so still some time yet. Alistair Leckie, how's he getting on? Well, that's Alex Day in front of him, so he's working very hard. Alex, like, big push after losing places early on. He had to take that drive through the pit lane, of course, on lap 1, and he's really worked his way through to close up to the back of that second TCR car. You can see he's dropped right to the rear of the field. He's worked his way right the way up to P8, and now has got Alex Day in the Seat Leon right in front of him. So Alistair Leckie, this is a great recovery drive from him in Porsche.
Yeah, Leckie's actually the fastest driver on track right now, a 35.5 in terms of Class 2, that is. He ran a 35.5, even the leader of Class 2, Tony Draper's in the 35.7, so Leckie, look for him to move up the order quite a bit here.
Yeah, driving for the Alpha Corsa team, and he's doing a great job there. Is Alistair Leckie also part of the Sim Racing Championship as opposed to the Pro, so looking forward to see how he gets on in this one. And he's connection problem there for Alex Day, and he survives his fight another day. You can even see just how much that Porsche is closing up through the corners. The front wheel drive very good through some tracks, of course, but this Porsche Cayman is so fast with some of this, and especially with Alistair at the wheel, and he's really closed up to Alex Day now as they come up to the braking zone for the second last corner, and he's found a gap, and Alex Day is not even going to fight it. He lets him, and that is another place for Alistair Leckie, up to P7 overall. Next target is Will Foster in the second Seat TCR. I wonder, can he do it? He's still got 35 minutes, so it's not an impossible task. It's a very big. Oh, David Hornsey's gone off the road. The second Morgan has made a position. Isaac Rain up to P3. Hornsey has either made contact with a lap car or he's gone off by himself. But David Hornsey drops down to 4th in Class 1 overall. And Isaac Rain picks up that podium place. P3 for him. So that is not what David Hornsey wanted. But I tell you, that could be an effect of that tyre wear on those soft compounds compared to the hards or the mediums, and that is not what David Hornsey wanted. He was going so well in qualifying. What has happened in between?
Yeah, I'm watching here for Remius. I don't know if he was involved in anything there. He was the only GT4 driver close to any of that action going on, but Rain seemed to get through after the fact, so I don't think he had any issues there, per se, with GT4 drivers. I think that was Hornsey making a mistake.
Wow, so David Hornsey involved and off the road, and that won't do his tyres any good either, so he's still got some work to do. Here to David Hornsey. Look at the two PPR cars. They are absolutely together. Luke Whitehead has closed up to his teammate Cody Pride, and all of a sudden the gap's at just 0.2 of a second. So now this gets interesting. We know there's no team orders at PPR, and now Luke Whitehead challenging Cody Pride for the lead here in Class 1, and overall, right on the back, the two Porsches absolutely together. 10 seconds back to Isaac Rain now. And we'll see now what happens between these two. Who blinks first going into the pit lane for PPR 1 and 2. But who's going to be the one at the front is the question. And Luke Whitehead not going for any big overtakes here. He's looking, he's probing though at the rear of Cody Pride on the exit right now. So maybe the tyres, we saw him struggling a little bit to get on the power through some of the corners, Cody Pride. And Whitehead is really now putting some serious pressure onto his rival here. He's going to box now. I think that's the right call. Luke Whitehead into the pit lane, and I think he feels he was maybe getting a bit held up there, so going for an undercut here with that tire change.
But you know what? That's beneficial to everybody involved there, because an attempt at an overtake could see the two drivers come together if there's any mistake made, and we know, especially around this circuit, we talked about it earlier, Jack, there is not much room for overtakes to be done, and with the pit stop here, it kind of forces Cody Pride's hand as well.
Yeah, it certainly does, and well, I'm not sure exactly what happened with David Hornsey, but he's actually going quicker now, all of a sudden, after that spin. So obviously, maybe settled as you see Whitehead emerging now. Not ideal where he's come out, though. He's come out behind Tony Draper. He's going to get caught behind some traffic. That's not what Tony Draper needs. Up behind, he flashes the lights, not happy with the car in front of him, or just maybe apologizing, but that is a lapped car in front of him, and he does not want to get held up here behind the car of Alan Remius, who's just in front of him in the 143 car, and he is now trying to get through. It's hard though when you're part of the same class, and he does get through eventually there, but Whitehead's got to get his way through now, and he does find a very small gap, nips up the inside and straight through past Draper, dives it past. He is not messing around. He can't afford to lose time. He lost nothing right there, Luke Whitehead. Superb to make his way through past the two GT4 cars of Tony Draper and Alan Remius. But that was brave from Luke Whitehead, and Tony Draper in the Century Sim Racing survived, but he would have lost a lot of time there. 6 seconds back to Foster. He still got a decent gap there, but that's absolutely not ideal for him right there. As we wait to see now, Cody Pride, has he come in? No, he hasn't. Isaac Rain has come into pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. So the second of the Morgans has released David Hornsey from behind him, and now we wait to see what happens. So we assume that's Isaac Rain is going to come out behind Whitehead here, but Wait to see Ola Peterson and Peter Spano into pit lane as well in Class 2. Here comes Isaac Rain, and that's tight on the exit, isn't it? Look at that, Isaac. He got out of to Luke Whitehead there, and that was the effect of the traffic on that lap. He's going to get caught again behind a Maserati on the exit. This is not what he needs, but that was very, very tight. Isaac Rain nearly taking a net P2 there.
Yeah, why is it so close between Isaac and Whitehead there? I would like to see the lap times because they were not nearly this close going into the pits, but take a look at this battling that we have going on now. Hornsey and Pride still up front there with Whitehead and Rain. Their pit stops out of the way. Now I'm interested to see what happens after Cody jumps into the pits here. Is he losing time by staying out?
It could be, but see the traffic that Luke Whitehead's getting caught in has actually helped him out quite a lot. But you can see now Whitehead's got some clean air and he is bringing the gap down. Fresh tires, Cody Pride into pit lane now. This is so tight. This is really intriguing. Now he's missed his pit box. Pride has to reverse. He's missed the box. He has to reverse, and he's. That's not what he needs in the slightest. A couple of precious seconds just lost in that box right there. And Whitehead now caught behind a Chevy Camaro, makes his way through. That is a bad error from Cody Pride, but very easy to happen. Let's see, is this the lead now for Luke Whitehead? Isaac Rain putting pressure on him now, down towards the first corner. Cody Pride on his way. He is going to get out in front, but it's going to be very, very tight. Cody Pride with the momentum, just going to know Luke Whitehead up the inside through turn 1, and that costly error might be the lead, and it is Luke Whitehead who slots out in Cody Pride by mere inches. That little error in pit lane has cost Cody Pride the net race lead, and the two PPR cars swap around, and that little miss of the pit box for Cody Pride has given Luke Whitehead the net race lead. But what about David Hornsey? He stayed out. Can he maybe put a spanner in the works here?
Well, Jack, I'm smiling ear to ear right now. What fun racing we have in front of us. Remember, Isaac Rain's right here involved in this battle as well. And as you mentioned, Hornsey's still out on track. He has yet to make his mandatory pit stop. And now Rain being held up by a GT4 driver, though he gets through there and closes in even more on Luke Whitehead. This battling is absolutely immense. Let's take a look at the tires that they have opted to come out on right now. It's going to be a softs for Rain with mediums for the PPR guys.
Yeah, there's less time, of course, that they have to run on the soft. So Isaac Rain, what an amazing pit stop from Isaac Rain to come out at the back of these guys. He was nowhere near them, and all of a sudden he's right with the Porsches now. And Hornsey, we wait to see if he's going to come into pit lane. The gap was about 21.4 seconds. He should slot out just out. He's actually stayed out. He's carrying on here. Is David Hornsey for a little bit longer, and the gap is now 21.2 seconds. So he, at the moment, he's looking to slot out right in front of Isaac Rain. This is going to be so close on the exit, but he's confident. He's got so much clean air, so it actually isn't a bad call from David Hornsey, but the gap will come down very good. Look at the gap, how fast it's coming down at 20.8. That it comes down to with worn tires for David Hornsey. So I wonder, should he have come in on that lap? Is the question, and we'll wait to see whether that is the right call or not for David Hornsey. But he's carrying on. I'm sure he's going to box at the end of this lap. We'll have to wait to see. Tony Draper still comfortably in the lead of Class 2 at the moment, and he's the second of one of two cars that are only one lap down compared to the rest of the field, which is Will Foster is the other one, who is one lap down, and he's trying to get his way past. He's actually lapping one of his own class here, loses.
Whoa!
Down, he holds on to it and makes the overtake right there. Mistake, look at that. Cody Pride and Isaac Rain up the head. Look at this, Isaac Rain all over the rear. Cody Pride, he's going for this one, is Isaac Rain. We'll talk about that in just a second, but look at this, Isaac Rain is absolutely all over the rear of that PPR Porsche, and it seems Cody Pride struggling now. He's fallen off the rear of White. There's a lot of traffic they're caught in now, and Hornsey has stayed out again, and for a little bit longer, and there's a lot of traffic. These guys have got to try to make their way through. So this could be now the gap that Hornsey needs to slot out in front of maybe Cody Pride even. So this is so intriguing with the pit stops strategy right here. But how about that save from Will Foster? got loose, used the front wheel drive to keep his foot planted, pointed the right direction, and made the overtake at the same time.
Yeah, easily the save of the day, Jack. That driving was absolutely incredible. Explains why he's sitting P2 in Class 2 right now, just behind Draper, who is just an alien at this point. The way Draper is driving, you would expect him to really run away with that Class 2 championship. Here he is coming out of the pits now, and he's even going to stay ahead, it seems, or is this almost a similar battle that we saw earlier? No, he's going to stay ahead of the P2 driver of Foster, and that's P6 overall. You still have to be happy about that one.
It certainly isn't, but the thing is, Draper has done that, and Will Foster hasn't pit stop yet, so that just shows he was a full pit stop in front before that. Hornsey, look at the... hoping for a really short pit stop here, David Hornsey, so he's going to put in, if he needs fuel, he'll just need a tiny splash, but that gap is now under 20 seconds back to Luke Whitehead. I tell you what, Isaac Rain is putting so much... Oh, we got a car. Peter Spano is off, and that is at the bottom of the old hairpin. That seems to be, yeah, it is, and he's going to rejoin just with one of the Morgans making their way through. That is actually David Hornsey making his way through in this one, so he's got through, gap up to 20. It's going back, it's yo-yoing at the moment between Hornsey and Whitehead, and but of course Luke is on. It could be a case that he could be on. Maybe he might not have put a used set on. He might have put a new set on. He could be on a used set, but he is going very, very fast. He's bringing the gap down so fast. On this lap, another second taken out of David Hornsey on that lap, and pit lane is only open for another 8 minutes, so he's leaving it very late here. Is David Hornsey. You can see on the tyre graphic there's soft tyres, and you can see, look at that, Luke Whitehead's put on a used set of tyres by the looks of it. He's done 24 laps on that set of medium compound tyre, and well, that's actually...
Well, you know what? Did he not change his tires?
Did he not change his tires?
I'm wondering if Luke has to make another stop.
I wondered. That can't be right, because Luke Whitehead is on 24-lap-old tires, but that concludes that he hasn't changed his tires at the front, unless he's put a huge...
It looks like James, he's going to look into it right now. What else I was going to say with Hornsey to look out for, it appears he is in the pits right now as Hornsey. He's going to do a splash and dash. He'll be out here quick, but remember, he was seconds down the road from these drivers as they're going through now. You can see him pulling out of the pits. He's going to be behind his teammate, or at least Isaac Rain for now. Same car, not teammates. The two teammates, Whitehead and Pride, leading the way so far. This has been absolute pandemonium for the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is, but you can see Luke Whitehead is now well clear of Cody Pride. Isaac Rain third, David Hornsey in fourth. But I think what David wanted, well, according to that graphic as well, Hornsey hasn't changed the tires either. But on a 20, it says a 25-lap-old set right there. We'll have to just get some clarification on that. But no, we can't confirm the tires were changed. So that's just a little timing bug. No problems there. So they have changed the tires. As has David Hornsey as well. So now, of course, Hornsey's going to be on a brand new set of those soft compound tyre. Once they get in the window, he'll be very, very quickly. Isaac Ray, look at, he's absolutely flying in P3. He's all over Cody Pride, putting serious pressure on him through the chicane. But how long will those softs last? How fast will they go off? There's still 20 minutes left in this race. So can the softs hang on in this for the last few minutes of this race? 6 minutes left till the pit window closes, but our top four have all pitted, which is what we needed to know at the end of the day. But the big story, Luke Whitehead securing the lead after the pit stops, and Isaac Rain has pulled off a masterclass and is now right behind. He's made it up to P3 and still putting pressure on the front runners in the Porsches up at the head of the field. So now you can see Pride had to take a bit of a wide line into turn one, which cost him a little bit of momentum. And Isaac Rain will now be absolutely right with him down through the old hairpin. But this is giving Luke Whitehead the opportunity to kind of pull away a little bit. You can see Isaac Rain, he's got a great run up towards the next right hand. He's going to have a look on the inside. No. But Pride had a very poor run at the exit of the old hairpin right there. And Isaac Rain in that Morgan GT2 is really putting pressure on. 1.7 is the gap between Pride and Whitehead. And Isaac with lovely exit on the exit. comes Isaac Rain in the slipstream. Does he have enough of an overlap to try and maybe look what up the inside of the chicane? It's very tricky to do it here. He's going to sit behind into the braking zone through the chicane. He needs to run through the old, down to the hairpin. He doesn't quite get it. Cody Pride gets on the power very nicely through this chicane and just manages to keep Isaac Rain behind him. But now, I wonder if Isaac Rain manages to clear Cody Pride, can he catch Luke Whitehead?
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the lap times to really determine if that's possible. The fastest laps of the day so far are actually going to Isaac Rain with a 27.6 compared to the best lap time of Luke Whitehead at a 27.8. So Isaac's got some pace in there. Oh, and as we have near contact between a GT4 and Cody Pride there, this is one of the leaders getting tied in, and we can see Isaac Rain making his way through. David Hornsey has to get through as well here. It looks like Luke Whitehead's made his way up the order just fine there through those GT4 cars. But looking at this battling in the top 3 right now, this is far from over, and some great battling. I will say what is close to being over is the pit window. I believe we have almost all drivers have completed their mandatory pit stops.
They have indeed, so just a couple more that might have to do it, but bit of a scary moment for Cody Pride there, but again, Isaac Rain right with him. The fastest man on the circuit that lap, by the way, David Hornsey in P4, but he's still got a ways to go. He's got 2.4 to make up. Isaac Rain now catching him on Starkeys. He's flashing his lights. He's letting him know, going for you, mate. Cody Pride has got to now see that Morgan right behind him, but that Porsche has immense traction out of that chicane, and Isaac just does not have enough of a run to get up alongside him into the hairpin. He's going to have to think of somewhere else to try and make this overtake. As now Will Foster, he finally comes into the pit lane. He's done a long stint, and he finally comes into pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. And the pit lane window closes in about 3 minutes' time. You can see there's our top 4 in Class 1. They're still together after this long. And Whitehead leads. Look at that, 27.9. David Hornsey, he is flying on the brand new softs.
Yeah, that 27.9 is actually quicker than Cody Pride's fastest lap time of the day. So Hornsey's really putting it on. And you know what, Jack? When we look back to a few laps ago, or at this point, about 20 minutes ago, I should say, when Hornsey had that spinner that cost him a position there, that may have cost him a potential race win here. Because you imagine those few seconds that he lost out on.
Oh, look at this. Isaac Rain's got the run on the outside. It was a little mistake from Cody Pride. He went wide on the exit of the old hairpin. Rain's got the run up the hill now. Let's see if he can get his way through past Cody this time. He looks to the inside. Again, not enough room to make his way through. Very close between these two again, and lap traffic coming into play now as well. But Isaac is still not close enough to get his way through. And through the chicane again, Cody nails this every single time and gets the traction every time. Rain much better that time as they came on the exit though. Does he have enough to go for a little lunge up the inside? No, he doesn't. And again, Cody Pride is absorbing this pressure from Isaac Rain each time. But David Hornsey, look at the gap, is now down to 1.5 seconds. It was about 2.5.
Oh, sorry, as I think might cut out just a little bit there, Jack, but this pace has been absolutely incredible from the top 4 drivers to stay so close. And with a proper mention to Draper here, absolutely flying in the GT4 car, the Ginetta that we see coming through for Century Sim Racing, and really the gaps have opened up throughout the entire GT4 grid.
Yeah, they certainly have, but one man who's kind of nearly worked his way onto the Class 2 podium, right on cue, Alistair Leckie. He's only 2 seconds behind Alex Day, and there's still a podium in prospect for Alistair Leckie. You can see Alex Day just in front of him as now. You can see, look at that, Isaac Rain's done it, gets his way through. Isaac Rain trying to get past Cody Pride, looks for the switchback underneath Cody Pride, but he gets a little bit loose, loses the rear end, and now Isaac Rain is clear to chase after Luke Whitehead. And now you can see David Hornsey is now on his tail. The flash of the lights from Hornsey this time to try and make his way through as well, but the move finally came after laps of trying. But the gap to Whitehead, 3 seconds. So now he's in a Morgan sandwich. This is exactly like we saw on lap 1. Hornsey so breaks each time, and this is now maybe going to cost themselves time if they get caught up in a battle here. But Isaac Rain, it took him so long to make the move. He was stuck behind since the pit stop phase, and now he's gone wide, and now Cody Pride going to get the run on the way down towards turn 1. This is the battle for P2 overall, and that run down towards turn 1. Does Rain have enough of a slipstream? And again, he does just about stay in front. Cody Pride going for the outside into turn 1. Does he have enough? No, he doesn't. Down through the Craner curves they come, and you can see it's very tight down towards the old hairpin. Side by side down the hill. This is superb racing between these guys, and Rain makes a mistake, and round he's going to go in the bin. Isaac Rain makes the air, and there's contact between the Morgans. Both off the road. Cody Pride gets through. A mistake from Isaac Rain, and he's in the grass at the old hairpin. It was so good for so long, but Cody Pride survives, and it's PPR 1 and 2 once again.
Oh wait, is that another driver that I just saw go off there? I think it was one of the GT4s possibly going off. It was. We can see, I believe that's Peterson. It is, as he gets out of the way of one of the Class 1s coming through there. And fortunately enough, I did save that replay if we do want to see it there about what happened between the two Morgans and a Porsche.
Oh, such a shame. Isaac Rain I think he just got overcooked it just slightly into the old hairpin, and ended up he so nearly, but spun in front of Hornsey, who's still behind him. He's only second and a bit behind him, so all is not lost for David Hornsey. But Isaac Rain, you got to feel for him. Such a good battle, but that's given Luke Whitehead a 5.5 seconds up the front of this Class 1 field. 13 and a bit minutes left in this race, and it's still Luke Whitehead from Cody Pride and David Hornsey. Isaac Rain still carrying on, and well, there's Whitehead making his way past Tony Draper. The two leaders together right there, Luke in Class 1 and Tony in Class 2. So still some time to go, but that was such a shame the way it ended the way it did. I've got some people in chat asking for the replay. If we can have a look at it, Kevin, that'd be fantastic.
We'll toss it up. It'll be a bit of a delay for you, Jack. So we'll take a look at it here as it comes through. We can see the cars battling going down the hill, and it seemed like it was an attempt at a switchback from Isaac Rain. Just caught the front end of Cody Pride there, and then collects Hornsey as well. So I'll let it replay a few times, and everybody out there in the chat world, let us know how you feel about the move made there. Who's at fault and who loses out the most other than Isaac Rain? Is there damage to be done? Is there tire changes to be made here? What's going to go on at the end of the race with just 12 minutes to go?
Yeah, I think it was just a tiny bit unlucky with them fighting for position down the hill there. It was really unlucky that David, who tried his best to take some avoiding action, didn't quite work. While you guys are looking at that replay, by the way, you can see Alex Lecky is now P3 in Class 2. He's actually made his way through past Alex Day, who I think had an error and went off the road, so that's helped him a little bit. But Alistair Lecky now onto the class podium, which is a great recovery despite all of that as well. But now look at David Hornsey, 27-3 from David Hornsey. I tell you what, he doesn't seem to have any damage at all. He's carrying on and is really putting the pressure onto Cody Pride, just down the hill to come into the old hairpin. Cody might have a bit of damage on the rear, but David Hornsey looks like he has a clean car, and he has brought the gap down to 0.4 of a second, and he's set a 27.3 on that lap as well. That is really, he's got the run. Here he comes, defensive from Cody Pride up the hill this time. But Hornsey now has found new pace in that Morgan GT2. He's got a great run. Cody Pride knows it's coming. He holds the inside now. Look at the run from Hornsey down towards the chicane. They come again in the slipstream. Looks to the inside of the chicane. Will he go for it into the chicane? Very brave stuff from David Hornsey. Looks up the inside, side by side with Pride. Pride hangs on down towards the hairpin. They come again on the power from Hornsey. Defense again from Cody Pride up towards the hairpin. This is only helping Luke Whitehead. 6.7 it goes out to now for the lead. They're just costing each other time by battling here, but I think Cody will want Luke Whitehead to maybe get himself a good lead here. Now here comes again from Hornsey. The look comes, the probe comes. He's gone the outside, 3 abreast into the last corner nearly, and Cody hangs on again onto the power from David Hornsey again. Into turn number 1 they come, just 10 minutes left in this race. How does David Hornsey do this? Outside again for turn 1. Is he going to brave it out around the outside of turn 1? Yes, he is. He probes. He's round the outside in the Morgan, dropping down the hill again to repeat it last time. David Hornsey going for second in Class 1, side by side with the Porsche, dropping down to the old hairpin. Does Hornsey do it? It's still Cody Pride on the inside. He has to open the steering, but eventually David Hornsey,
where'd that car come from?
The move, and the Cupra is going to try get in the way there as they come up through the next corner. There was a little bit of internet connection issues there for Alex Day, I think that was, and Hornsey makes the move stick, and such bravery around the outside, and he's into P2, but that now has opened the gap to Luke Whitehead to 8 seconds. That cost him 3 seconds in battling there.
This has been some of the best battling that I've seen between these drivers. We can see there's not too much of a pace differential. It's just drivers really going for it here and sending it when they have the opportunity and not letting those opportunities escape them. As Isaac Rain attempted to hold off Cody Pride earlier on, it finds himself 4 seconds down as we can see his headlights coming over the hill. It's Cody Pride still going at it here though with Hornsey. He's not going to let him off easy.
No, certainly not. Hornsey is hanging on now because Pride's on the attack, and he's going to go outside into the last corner, and the switchback from Pride nearly comes onto the power. 9 minutes left in this race. Luke Whitehead is clear out front now thanks to this battle, and Cody Pride is he wants to try the move that Hornsey just did to him around the outside, but Hornsey covers it off nicely through turn 1, and now we can see if the soft tyres will degrade enough for Pride to maybe come back, and the headlights coming on as it gets a little bit darker here in Donnington. And really, really interesting stuff. That was the Alex Day that got caught up, unfortunately, in that battle, as he's now limping around in that Cupra TCR, because Denny Dunn has now got past him, as you can see. So that's P4 in class for Denny Dunn. And Alistair Leckie now a comfortable P3 in class, 35 seconds. And then it's Will Foster P2, a further 30 seconds behind Tony Draper. That just shows you it's remarkable how close Class 1 is after all this time. You see how spread out Class 2 is.
Yeah, you would expect the gaps to open up here, and I think this means we're going to have a great 5 rounds ahead of us watching all of these races with how close they've been. As here goes Cody Pride off the track just a bit there as they're fighting with some lap traffic, though I don't think that lap traffic had anything to do with that off. I think that was a mistake from Cody Pride. Now finds himself over a second behind Hornsey, and that is the biggest gap that Cody Pride has fallen down in this race so far.
Absolutely, yeah, but now David Hornsey, if he wants to win, he's over a second a lap on Luke Whitehead to try to close this down with 7 minutes left of this race. So it's looking increasingly unlikely, but Luke Whitehead is in firm control after the pit stops from that one. But that was a fabulous race from everybody there, especially the David Hornsey Cody Pride battle. The awareness from Hornsey into the old hairpin, knowing that Pride would stick it up the inside and opening the steering just enough to give him this run, but he gave himself the run on the outside as well. And you can see there that the maximum positions anybody's move is 2 positions, so everyone's stayed relatively static. Isaac Rain is where he started, as is, and what you'd like to think that had that spin not come from Isaac Rain, he could have had brilliant results here, but so is racing right there. But it was a fantastic effort from Isaac Rain nonetheless. And Cody Pride also a great effort. He led for so long, got jumped by his teammate, and he'll be ruining that tiny mistake that cost him a couple of seconds, just missing his pit box, having to reverse. That cost him the race lead.
Well, he's lost 2 seconds in the last lap and a half to Isaac Rain here, so look out for Isaac Rain to see if he can attempt an overtake on Cody Pride here as well. Cody Pride might find himself down in P4 by the end of this race if the current pace keeps up.
I'll have to wait and see if you can keep up this pace. And well, I said to David Hornsey he needs more than a lap. Well, he's doing it. He's doing enough right now. He's brought it down by well over a second on the lap. It comes down to 6 seconds. So obviously traffic might play into hand here, and it would require Luke Whitehead going very slowly for the next couple of laps. But David Hornsey is not letting go. Look at the way he's siding his way through the hairpin. And not making light work of the GT4s there, and you can see Pride having to make his way through past the Porsche Cayman of that'll be Alistair Leckie, and that is Peter Spanner, who's about to go a lap down to Alistair, just behind him there. Gap down to 5.7, and I tell you what, Hornsey he's making this interesting in case there is an issue for Luke Whitehead. He's bringing the gap down very, very quickly. He's on very fresh tires compared to Luke Whitehead, and Isaac Rain is making things interesting as well by keeping the pressure on Cody Pride. So we'll wait and see. The gap's not come down by quite as much on that lap, so Hornsey just making sure that he keeps the pressure on Luke out front in case anything were to happen out front to him. But he looks in firm control, and Cody Pride, as you can see, still keeping tabs on David Hornsey, just to lap traffic, helping him out there, and gap opens out to 5.9. So this could have been the traffic that Luke caught on the previous lap, and these guys getting caught up in it now. 28.9 for Whitehead that lap, 28.4 for Hornsey, and a 28.0 for Cody on that lap. So Cody's not lost any pace whatsoever compared to those, but Luke just now needs to keep between the white lines, as Cody Pride doesn't do that and runs out wide on the first corner with that Porsche. But Luke is in firm control. He just needs to keep it between the white lines for the next 4 minutes, and he...
A great battling going on here between all of these guys up in the top 4. In the, I guess you could call it the bottom 9 or so, but I hate to call him that. It's the GT4 class going out right now, and Tony Draper absolutely owning that class as it currently stands. Draper flying in that blue and yellow Century Sim Ginetta, and he finds himself well ahead of the next closest competitor, Will Foster, and then Alistair Leckie a bit further down the road here in the Porsche Cayman. He is very quick, though, in that Porsche, though. He won't be quick enough to catch P2 in the GT4 class unless there's a massive mistake from one of the top 2 drivers.
Yeah, he'd need them there to make another pit stop, but he needs to just hope that one of them runs out of fuel or something. That's his best hope, as the Camaro gets very loose through the chicane, but that'll let through. That was Ash Dainty getting a little bit loose chicane, but no issues whatsoever. Makes his way through safely in the Porsche Cayman GT4. And now 3 minutes left in this race, and now Luke is now matching the pace of Hornsey, so it's looking less and less likely. But that battle that's between Hornsey and Pride might have helped Luke out a hell of a lot there, because the gap was about 3 seconds before the battle, and it was 8 at the end of it. So Luke, that's not to put Luke's driving down or anything, but that certainly gave him another little bit of leverage, as now Hornsey's tires won't be at their best either. Isaac Rain now not nearly doing enough to catch up to Cody Pride. Gap's out of 4 seconds now, so he's not quite doing enough as Hornsey. Oh, that's very wide. Good time through that corner, and now we're just going to have, by the looks of it, another 2 laps before we get the checkered here at Donnington, and bring the checkered out on the ButtKicker Britcar Endurance E-Series round number 1. Remember, this is a 5-round championship, so there's still lots more racing to come in this championship, and it's going to be a great one to keep our eyes on the various championships that will be the various battles in the championship, to be specific, that will be on show for you in every single round of this championship, and it's going to be brilliant to keep our eyes on for these next few weeks. Of course, we've a 2-week break before we head to the next round at Silverstone, and then we have Oulton Park, Thruxton, and Brands Hatch. That is our calendar, so a full UK calendar in line with the Britcar calendar as well. So now Luke on the second to last lap, I think, going across the line that time. So he should get should have 1 more lap to go, and he's got to make sure now doesn't make any mistakes on this particular lap, as there's still battles going on. Peter Spano's caught up to Ash Dainty after his little mistake, so still could be some positions on for Peter here.
Yeah, Jack, I just want to jump in real quick and say we wouldn't be watching this brilliant racing without ButtKicker sponsoring the way here with Britcar Endurance E-Series. And ButtKicker, they're a company that specializes in low-frequency audio transducers, which let users feel low-frequency sound, aka bass. They're musically accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. They're used extensively by sim racers to help them feel the vibrations of the engines, thump of the gear shift, and the bumps in the road. Now, I could just imagine using that with a VR setup and getting that full-on immersion that I think we're all looking for.
Absolutely, and I can attest to ButtKicker. I don't have one myself, but I've tried it out multiple times, and it gives you a car, which is sometimes missing in sim race. You don't get that kind of seat of the pants feel, and certainly a ButtKicker underneath your seat will certainly give you that. As now, just a couple more seconds left in this race, lap 40, and Luke Whitehead has begun the final lap as he's making his way through some traffic now, and he's just got to keep it now between the white lines for a lap and a bit more, and he will be the inaugural winner of this championship in Class 1. And of course, Hornsy's still pushing on. He's brought the gap down to 3.5. He's hoping that there'll be a late bit of drama here, but it's looking unlikely for the pole sitter here to maybe displace Luke Whitehead as traffic begins to just catch up to him now. But well, what an amazing first round. So much drama and so much twists and turns. There was crashes. Everything you could expect in a race has just happened. There plenty of pit strategies. One of the Genettas goes for some grass cutting on the straight there. But it was all in the pit strategy today that brought out everything that just happened today, and it was that man right there, Luke Whitehead, who took full advantage. Absolute inches between himself and his teammate on the exit of the pit lane, and he was the one who came out on top. A very great call on the pit strategy, a great drive in the end, and he will come through the last corner now for PPResports. Luke Whitehead will round the last corner. He wins the inaugural round of the ButtKicker Britcar Endurance E-Series for PPR. David Hornsey is second, and Cody Pride gets third in Class 1. Isaac Rain in fourth. And now we have to wait, of course, for our Class 2 winner as well. And we'll see. Now here is Tony Draper, who absolute dominant performance in that Ginetta GT4 car. Led from the get-go, never once lost the lead of his class. And to show you how dominant he was, of course, he came into the pit lane and was a full pit stop of the next car in front of him. So that Ginetta GT4 with Tony Draper at the wheel, incredibly fast, and looks like a force to be reckoned with as he gets very side with it and nearly actually spins it as he comes up towards the final corner. Still pushing on, even though it's the last lap, of course. Still now, these two, Spano actually getting past Ash Dainty in the final corner for a position there in Class 2. But here he comes, Tony Draper for Class 2. Didn't lose the lead once, and he wins at Donnington in Class 2 in the Ginetta GT4 car for Century Sim Racing. Will Foster will finish in second, and Alistair Leckie, after his lap 1 incident, recovers to class podium in that one. But tell you what a first round right there. So much battling throughout the field, and Luke Whitehead for PPR comes out on top in the first round.
Yeah, beautiful racing there, and after what a great race this was, we'll have to jump over to interviews in a minute, so let us take a quick intermission, and we'll be right back with those podium interviews.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
Well, welcome back to the broadcast, and we now have our top 3 from Class 1 joining us in the commentary box. If I could start off with our race winner, Luke Whitehead. Luke, what a fantastic way to win it. All came down to the pit strategy in the end, but seriously, what a good race.
Yeah, that race was awesome. It was an awesome race. Even out front, I was in a voice chat with Cody, and he wouldn't stop screaming, which was a little distracting. But I could just tell that it was constant action, and when I was behind Cody and hunting him down, it was really good fun. The whole game, AC and the mods and the track is just. Yeah, it's a pleasure to play. It really is. So I'm glad that they've chosen this platform to race on. And I mean, yeah, the balance of performance was really good fun as well. The cars maybe weren't as close as what they could have been, but the driving was really close, and we were all really quite even. So it was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love a recording of that voice chat. Actually, that must.
No,
yeah,
you don't.
Luke, in the end, he came out on top, but it looked like towards the end of the stint that the Porsche looked a little bit kind of nervous on some of the tires at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I found that it was fine personally. I mean, the car felt really stable for the entirety of the stint. I think if anything, I was probably getting a little bit of front graining. But I think that's generally the roll speed that I carry, especially around here. It's all right hand off camber right-handers, so it does put a lot of strain on the left front. Obviously, I've driven here in real life as well, so I know that that's really tough. And it's probably exaggerated a bit in the sim. But yeah, I just got really unlucky with traffic. I think 5 or 6 laps in a row, I caught people through the craners. So I had to either do a move through the craners or into the old hairpins. So it was a little bit sketchy for the most part. But I mean, yeah, I was just glad and fortunate to get that gap out to what it was. Because I think if it hadn't, it would have been a much more difficult race.
Absolutely. Well, we've a little 2-week break now before we go to the next round, which is Silverstone. What's the thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm really happy with the whole calendar. I mean, I really like Thruxton. I really like Silverstone. I'm particularly looking forward to Thruxton, actually, because that's going to be a very close race, because there's not a lot of places that you can gain time. And, Toe is going to be worth a huge amount there as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Silverstone should be really good fun. It's really technical. I don't know which car is going to be favoured. I don't know what the cars are like from each track, but regardless, I'm generally quite strong there, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, look, congratulations on the win. We'll let you go and celebrate however you want to do that.
Drinks.
That's
right,
the way.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Luke. And, well, that was Luke Whitehead joining us there. Now we have our P2 man, David Hornsey, joins us in. David, great race from yourself as well. A little bit unlucky with getting caught up with Isaac in that battle, but really putting on some great pace at the end, so you must still be happy.
Yeah, if anyone, personally most surprised to be here, I think is definitely me. How I put it on poll, I have no idea. But yeah, I knew that the Porsches were going to be quick at the start of the stint, but they seemed to come back to us during the stint. So unfortunate to have that little coming together with Isaac. I got a bit greedy trying to get past the Porsche as Isaac was having his moment, and we just touched as we came out. But so I apologise again to Isaac. I already did it on the voice chat, but I apologise again in public for that one.
Absolutely. Well, nice to hear. And well, we saw kind of at the start of the first, and as you mentioned, they started to come back to you. Was it a case of the different tire compounds? We noticed the Porsches were running mediums yourselves, that yourselves were running the soft compound tires. So was the graining quite a lot in the Morgan?
I think it just struggled a bit more on the higher fuel load. I ran without refueling in the pit stop, so as we got into the second half of the race, the car was just getting quicker and quicker, and I could run the low 28s, high 27s fairly consistently. The car's quite stable, so I could see that when I was having that great battle with Cody, I could see he was getting a bit twitchy on turning some of the corners. So I knew as long as I kept neat and tidy, I'd be able to have a run at him sooner or later.
Yeah, and you certainly made it. You left it very, very late to come into pit lane, but it seemed to still work out for yourselves as well. But looks like a good season in Prospect, Dave. I know you've helped a lot in setting this one up, and obviously you looked like a great first round out there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was trying to leave the pit as late as I could, so I wanted to have the best set of tyres I could towards the end to see if I could come back at any of the guys in front, because I was a bit further down the field by then. But yeah, it's been. I mean, most of this goes to James and to Isaac for setting this up. They've put all the hard work in, and I've kind of been the go-between between the Britcar Championship and them guys. So thanks to them. Obviously, big thanks to ButtKicker for supporting it as well.
Absolutely. Well, David, congratulations on the P2. We'll let you podium, even if you are surprised to be on it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
And finally, in Class 1, P3 is Cody Pride. Cody, well, we can talk about the pit stop if you want. We know we kind of caught an end of it on the broadcast, but looked like it all came down in the end to that pit stop in the end.
Yeah, Luke dived into the pits without me knowing. Well, I knew, but I didn't expect it. So I carried on for 2 more laps, and he actually said he came into the pits really slowly. So I thought, I'll take it slowly and try and gain a gap. And then I came in, did really well, but I actually overshot my pit box, so I had to put it in reverse and stop again, which actually cost the race. But I think Luke would have caught me anyway because he had really good pace. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. We weren't exactly sure if that's what happened, but now we know it's confirmed. We did catch you reversing in the pit lane, so at least we can at least confirm that now. But even so, with the P3, I know you got caught up in that incident with Isaac and with David as well. You seem to luckily get out of it unscathed.
Yeah, I actually, it was weird because I had a really nice exit out of turn 1. We were still there, and I was kind of there, but I wasn't. But I still had right to the room. But I actually understeered, went over to the left, and I think Isaac came back on me, but I'm not sure what actually happened. And then it caused him to go sliding. So I was going to let him go, so I didn't know whether it was me. But then David actually hit him again, so I just went for it. And then, David caught me again really quickly.
Absolutely. Well, at least you managed to get out of it in the end. But I mean, it's early doors, of course, in this championship itself, and both of the PPR Porsches. You looked very, very strong early on.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really, really good start. I just floored it and then put it into first, and I managed to get David around the outside of turn 1. And then Luke had a bit of trouble overtaking the Morgan because it was just so fast in a straight line. But then he eventually managed to get by him. And then, yeah, I guess it all came down to the pit stop and just little tiny errors from me where the rear end would come out a little bit because the setup was very weird. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was a good race.
Well, it'll be a nice little 2-week break till the next one. And, it's Silverstone next. Cody, congratulations on the 3rd place, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now we have our Class 2 guys in with us now, and Kevin's going to have...
Yeah, thank you for those interviews, Jack. Brilliant job by all of the Class 1 guys. We'll toss it over to the Class 2 guys now. Tony Draper with the win there. It was Will Foster in P2. Alistair Leckie in P3. Unfortunately, his microphone's not working, so I want to go to Tony Draper first, who had an absolutely dominant performance there on the hard tires as well. So please, Tony, walk us through how you were able to hold on to that car so brilliantly, consistently through 39 laps.
Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate it. You're right. Those hard tires are actually pretty tricky on that Ginetta because basically the right-hand side of the car never comes up to temperature. Once you've put them on and they've come out the blankets, then they're cold after the 2nd lap. So then you're just kind of, when you come into the chicane and you throw it in, you're not really sure whether the front's going to go in or not. But luckily they seem to have just a tiny pace advantage, so I could just wind it back a couple of percent, and I think that helps with consistency if you're not right on the edge all the time.
Yeah, that's great. How about the setup? Did you tweak anything specific for Donnington here that you think may have given you an edge?
To be honest, I only started practicing today for it, so I didn't really get into the setup that much. I think I tweaked the wing angle, and that's about it. Everything else was stock.
Well, that's quite scary to hear for everybody else in that Class 2 there, because your performance was absolutely scary there.
Thank you. That's very kind, but I think it's going to come back to the others because, I mean, Donnington with lots of twisties down the craners and stuff, the Ginetta being quite light, it handles those really, really well. But like when we go to Thruxton or Silverstone, where the power is going to be a little bit more important, then I think those Cupras are very, very quick in a straight line. So I think that Donnington slightly flattered the Ginetta a little bit tonight.
Well, brilliant, and congratulations on the race win there for you. I want to toss it over to Will Foster as well, who finished P2 in the class. And Will, I think from what we saw in the broadcast booth, at least, between you and Tony, there really wasn't much battling with other guys. You guys kind of ran away with it up front there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's quite a lonely race in the end. I was sort of following Tony for the start of the race, thinking if I can stay close enough, maybe if he makes a mistake, I'll get him. But he was just a bit too quick, and he got away. And sort of then I just focused on myself, really, just putting consistent laps together. Nobody to really reference against, but it was good, just keeping focused and try not to make any mistakes of my own.
Well, you ran the race on the mediums throughout, and do you feel, looking back, that was the correct decision? I'm asking purely for the viewers out there. Do you think that was the fastest way for you to get around in that Seat?
Yeah, I mean, in the Seat, there's not many other choices, but they felt quite good. They're quite sticky, but also quite long lasting. So temperatures are fine on those medium tires, and yeah, that's all right with that.
Well, beautiful racing there to capture that P2 for the Class 2 guys out there. And Jack, I think as far as interviews go, is there anything else you want to ask these GT2 guys or GT4 guys?
Well, I guess the main question is to Will, I suppose. It looked like the Seat was struggling a little bit out there today. Do you think there's going to be a track where the TCR is really going to come back to you?
I hope so. Like as Tony said, the different tracks will suit different cars, and obviously he was out in the league of his own today, so all the other Ginettas were far ahead of those. So I think it also comes down heavily to driver skill, it seems. So yeah, hoping that the Seats can do better next time, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to that. But Tony and Will, thanks for hopping in with us, and we'll.
Thanks, guys, and massive thanks to James in particular from PPR for his tech support this afternoon, without which it wouldn't have happened. So thanks to him.
Yep, I wouldn't be here either without his tech support, so we thank him for that. And we thank everybody out there in the chat world for joining us. We'll be live again 2 weeks' time for round number 2 of this brilliant ButtKicker Britcar Endurance E-Series. This one presented to you at Donnington. We have a few more tracks coming up in a few weeks' time here, so stay tuned for that. To everybody else out in the chat world, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and take care, everyone.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.